Good evening and a very warm welcome to this week's Out and About. Music has very much been a part of our culture ever since the beginning, and growing up in an Indian household quite often meant that you were literally in tune with Indian instruments. But what if you didn't grow up in an Indian household, or even come from an Indian background for that matter? Well, our guest on this week's show is about to explain all. Our special guest on this week's show joins us all the way from Belgium and is none other than composer, musician and teacher Kenny Clarys. Kenny, thank you very much for joining us here on Out and About. You've got an incredible story, so let's certainly start with that. How exactly did you learn to come to play the harmonium?
Yeah, so, it started when I was a child. So from my childhood, my parents started doing yoga, meditation, and that is how I came in contact with the Indian culture and Indian music.
And just on that point, I'm sure many of our viewers are thinking the exact same thing. It's not an easy thing to learn, so just how did you grasp the skill of learning to play the harmonium?
Yeah, basically, I guess it's by playing, if you want to learn an instrument, you don't just learn it overnight. I mean, it's like, it's dedication and it requires really investment of your time and your effort to really learn. So it's basically listening to music. That's very important, and then trying to understand how it works. But it's kind of somehow it came natural to me also. Kind of the Indian way of playing was kind of innate or like built in. I can't really tell how that comes.
Music and instruments have very much been a part of our Indian culture. For you, what was it that drew you to not only our culture, but of course our national instruments?
Mainly, I was doing, accompanying singers. A harmonium is a very great instrument for accompanying singing and voice. So that is how it came to be that I started playing the harmonium instead of the violin, just because it's a great accompanying instrument.
Not only have you learnt these skills, but you're also teaching them at the same time. We've been in lockdown now for just over a year, so you've taken those lessons online. Tell us more about that.
Well, that's true. So it's due to the COVID that I couldn't continue my physical practice. So I was, teaching kind of a lot of students in Belgium, and people also coming from the Netherlands. Then I got a lot of, you can say, experience how to teach them, because you get feedback from the student. That is kind of also in being, a teacher, you have to grow, you have to learn, you have to know, I can explain this in a better way. Next time I can approach it like this, because you are also learning by teaching. So that's what I created, the Harmonium Evolution. So that's a full program where you can learn, to play the harmonium from a beginner until you become an advanced player.
Kenny, one thing that strikes me about the harmonium is that it looks incredibly hard to learn and of course to play as well, especially with the dual hand coordination. Give me a beginner's guide of just how easy or how tricky it really is to learn the instrument.
Basically, we have the technique of our right hand. We need to understand how to have a natural way of playing. Then we have our fingers, of course. We need to know which fingers to use. And there are some techniques also to that. Then we have the left hand, how to palm the bellows. There is also a technique for that. That is what we start with. Next to it, we start playing scales. Next step is to play chords. So major chords, minor chords. And chords, they don't come in the Indian classical music. So in the Indian classical music, we don't have any chords. So we cannot understand how to play chords only using the Indian system. So that is why I'm teaching the both systems, also the Western system, and how it differs from the Indian system.
As you said, it certainly does produce some beautiful sounds and melodies, and of course we can't have you on the show without hearing some of those sounds. What are you able to play for our viewers today?
Well, I like to play a little bhajan. It's called Ayahu, Darbhare Tumhare.
Kenny, thank you so much for joining us on the programme this week. I'm sure our viewers will be just as impressed with your playing skills as I am. I wish you all the very best for the future.
Thank you, and thanks for having me.
Time to take a short break, but when